are enjoying another beautiful evening outside. This time we have prepared with bug spray, so we're gonna do better than last week. But we've been storying through the life of Jesus and spent a lot of time toward the beginning of his life, and so this week we're taking a jump into the heart of his ministry. So kind of what's been happening, we're gonna be looking in Matthew 15, but what's been happening is we've seen that Jesus is building a following, even to the point where people are coming to him just to touch his robes and be healed. In the last chapter, Matthew 14, there's an interaction, almost a debate that happens between Jesus and the Pharisees about what they should do about the traditions, the Jewish traditions and commandments. And Jesus takes an interesting stance that kind of offends the Pharisees and says that their words and their actions are just as important, if not more important, than their traditions and their commandments. So, so our story starts Matthew 15, verse 21, and it goes to, I think, verse 28. And here's our story. Now Jesus went away. He went away from the place the area that he had been meeting with the Pharisees. Went away and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And while he was there, a Canaanite woman came up to him and cried out, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." Now Jesus said nothing to her. He didn't respond. And the disciples, they came up to Jesus and said, "Jesus, send this woman away, for she's crying out after us." And Jesus responded and said, "I have only been sent for the lost sheep of Israel." Only been sent to the lost sheep of Israel. Now the woman came up to Jesus at this point, kneeling before him, and said, "Help me, Lord, help me." And Jesus looks at her and says, "Is it right to take bread from the children and give it to the dogs?" And the woman responds and says, "Lord, yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." And Jesus looks at her and says, "Your great faith. Oh woman, what great faith you have. Your faith has healed your daughter just as you desired." And instantly her daughter was healed. So first, who are the characters in this story?
The woman.
The woman, yep. Jesus.
And the disciples.
The disciples, yep. Woman. So just three.
The daughters?
Yeah, the daughters. What in this story kind of surprises you, or makes you go, I wonder why that happened?
I think that Jesus at first didn't say anything to her.
Yeah, that he didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in that, the disciples told him to make her go away, basically.
Yeah, so there's that interesting dynamic of this being a Canaanite woman who obviously is not thought of very highly. You have Jesus and the Canaanite woman. She's kind of crying out to Jesus for help. Jesus doesn't respond. What kind of ultimately makes Jesus respond?
When she kneels at his feet and asks him specifically to help.
Yeah. And then after she asks for help, and they have their little dialogue, which we'll talk about in a moment. What is it about her that makes Jesus take action?
Her faith.
Absolutely, yeah, her faith. Which is kind of a recurring theme in the stories that we looked at. Faith was the main player when the four friends brought their paralyzed friend and dug a hole in the roof. Faith was reprimanded. The disciples' faith was reprimanded at the calming of the sea. The centurion's faith was what had his child healed. And so, interesting thread that we see going through these stories. Absolutely. What do you find interesting about the conversation that happens between Jesus and the Canaanite woman?
It doesn't seem to flow with what she's asking him for.
Yeah. So maybe even Jesus seems to be discussing something different than.
Yeah, but it's still once she responds, it still correlates to the situation. So his statement in and of itself doesn't really, when you first hear that, you wouldn't hear it and think, oh yeah, because of what he's saying, it makes sense that he's going to heal her daughter.
Right.
But then she responds, and just her response shows Jesus that she has faith.
Right.
And he heals her.
Yeah, this story gives us an interesting look into now what do you think in this story there is for us to obey?
That he sees them needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And even a picture of the persistence of faith. This woman, she could have cried out, and then Jesus and the disciples move on without saying anything, and she could have just been like, well, I tried. But her belief in what Jesus could accomplish caused her to not give up, to keep trying. And so, interesting example from a Canaanite woman. But, well, let's pray, and thank you for listening to another story. I hope that you have an opportunity to share it, to share some of the interesting things in the story with somebody this week.